The Starliner Mercy's promise was a gilded cage, a vessel of pleasure and commerce, traveling the silk routes between the spiral arms. In its opulent auction halls, fortunes were exchanged for rare art, sentient engineered companions, and sometimes, for beings whose origins were whispered about but never confirmed, he was there on a different sort of business. The man, who thought of himself more as a dismantler of cages than a collector, moved through the throng of wealthy patrons with a quiet intensity. His wealth was old and quiet, built by ancestors and preserved by his disinterest in finery. His name was Kalen, a simple sound in a galaxy of convoluted titles. He had come because his network, a sparse but effective web of informants, suggested something unique was being sold. Not merely servants, but prisoners of a war. No one acknowledged the lot was brought out under a shimmer containment field. 3 figures, humanoid in shape, but undeniably alien. Their skin held the faint luminescence of mother of pearl, and their hair, long and silken, was the color of vacuum and distant stars. Delicate, curling horns, like polished obsidian, swept back from their brows. Their eyes, large and amber, were not downcast in fear, but burned with a contained fury that chilled the humid air of the auction room. They stood together, a triad of silent defiance. The auctioneer, a smooth-faced android with a calibrated smile, announced them as high-value service acquisitions from the recently pacified Zareth sector. Rare specimens, guaranteed untrained. The bidding began, a casual flurry of numbers from bored aristocrats, seeing them as exotic living sculpture. Kalen watched their eyes. He saw not servitude, but a regal disdain. The way the tallest subtly positioned herself in front of the other 2, a protective gesture that spoke of duty, not fear. His informant's words echoed, taken from a royal hive ship. Their value is political, not personal. He raised his hand. He bid not with frenzy, but with a relentless, escalating finality. A sum that silenced the room, a sum that could have purchased a moon. The android's smile flickered. Sold to the gentleman in the gray. The transaction was swift. Documentation, neural contracts, transfer of custody. Within the hour, Kalen stood in the private departure bay with his acquisitions. They faced him, still silent, their luminescent skin glowing softly under the bay lights. "You are not my property," he said, his voice low but clear. "The transaction was a formality to remove you from that market. The ship behind me is mine. It will take you to the coordinates you provide. You are free." The tallest one, who had been the shield, tilted her head. Her voice, when it came, was like the chime of crystal, resonant and cold. Free, a word often used before new chains are fitted. "No chains," Kalen said. He walked to a control panel on the bay wall and input a sequence. The neural contracts, the ownership sigils, flashed on a screen and then dissolved into static. "The legal fetters are gone. My ship's AI will obey any destination command you give it. You may leave now if you wish, or you may stay here. It is your choice." The 3 looked at each other, a silent communication passing between them in the slight flicker of their nacreous skin. The distrust was a living thing in the air. "Why?" asked the second, her voice younger, edged with bewildered suspicion. "What cost is there?" "The cost was paid to the auctioneer," Kalen replied. "There is no further debt. I have seen cages before. I do not like them." After a long moment, the tallest one spoke again. "We would use your ship. Coordinates will be provided when we are in the void." Kalen merely nodded and led them aboard his vessel, the Wandering Compass. It was a functional ship, clean but austere, a stark contrast to the opulence they had just left. He gave them the private guest quarters, instructed the AI to comply with all their requests, and retreated to the command deck. The journey began in silence. Days passed. They kept to their quarters. Kalen did not disturb them. He monitored the ship's systems, studied stellar charts, and waited. On the 5th day, the tallest one appeared at the doorway to the command deck. She stood framed in the light, studying him as he reviewed a navigation array. "You do not seek to know us," she stated. "It is not my business," he said, not looking up, "unless you wish it to be." "My name," she said slowly, as if testing the weight of the truth, "is first daughter of the Crimson Hive. This is second daughter and third daughter. Our mother is the queen of 1,000,000,000 souls across the Zara systems." Kalen finally turned, meeting her amber gaze. "I see. The auctioneer's pacification was a raid on your family." "A betrayal," she corrected, the crystal of her voice hardening. "Our hive ship was boarded under flag of truce by those who call themselves the Accord. We were taken while our mother was in the deep sleep of cycle renewal. They thought us mere prizes. They did not understand what they had stolen." "And what did they steal?" Kalen asked, though he was beginning to understand. "The continuity of the hive," second daughter said, stepping into the room behind her sister. "We are not just offspring. We are the living memory, the genetic archives. Our mother's consciousness is distributed among us during her renewal. We carry her will, her knowledge, the soul of our people. Without us, she will awaken fractured. The hive will fall into chaos and die." The scale of it settled on Kellen's shoulders, a cold, heavy mantle. He had not simply freed 3 slaves. He had accidentally intercepted the living heart of an interstellar civilization. "The coordinates you gave the AI," he said, "lead to a rendezvous point with our hive's warrior swarm," first daughter said. "They have been searching for us, tearing apart Accord shipping lanes. A war is brewing because of our absence." Kalen called up the navigation plot. The coordinates lay in a dense nebula on the edge of contested space. "We will be there in 3 cycles." The following days changed. The daughters, no longer just passengers, began to move through the ship. They observed Kalen, their initial suspicion thawing into a watchful, intense curiosity. They asked questions about his world, his reasons. He answered plainly. He spoke of a childhood seeing indentured laborers on mining worlds, of a lifetime's quiet work to undo small, cruel knots in the universe. He was a dismantler of cages. This, he admitted, was a larger cage than he had ever encountered. Third daughter, the quietest, studied him most intently. One evening, as he worked in the small galley, she spoke. "You are alone. Your species is social, yet you work in solitude. Why?" "Some paths are walked alone to ensure others can walk together," he said, offering her a nutrient pack. She took it, her long fingers brushing his. A faint, warm pulse of energy, not electric but biological, flowed from the contact. It felt like understanding. "We misjudged your kind," third daughter said softly. "We thought all of you were predators, like the Accord." "Many are," Kalen conceded, "but not all. Just as I am sure, not all your hive are warriors." "All who are needed are," she replied, but there was no threat in it. "We are what the hive requires us to be, protectors, archivists, mothers. It is a different song from your individual chorus." As the ship plunged into the swirling colors of the nebula, the atmosphere grew tense. Alerts chimed on the console. On the long-range scanner, countless blips emerged from the cosmic dust swift, predatory-looking vessels, their designs organic and sharp, like thorns. The hive swarm. A communication request flooded their system, not in any standard code, but a complex pulse of biofrequency. First daughter moved to the console. "It is our guardian, the Hive Knight." She opened the channel. The image that formed was of a being clad in chitinous armor, its face a fearsome mask of loyalty and fury, its multi-lensed eyes fixed on Kalen. The voice that boomed through the speakers was a hive mind drone, layered and deep. You have the royal daughters. Your vessel is held in 1,000 targeting solutions. Release them. Before Kaelin could speak, First Daughter stepped forward, her bearing shifting into undeniable authority. Her luminescence brightened, and her voice took on a new, commanding resonance. Stand down, Knight. This human is Kaelin. He is our liberator. He purchased us from captivity only to shatter the chains. He returns us to the hive of his own will. No threat is to be made to him or his vessel. He is under our protection. The Knight's stance, even through the view screen, changed. The aggression melted into a rigid, stunned deference. First Daughter speaks. It is heard. A path is cleared. The swarm parted, forming a corridor leading to a colossal biological vessel, a living city ship that drifted like a continent in the void. The hive ship. The wandering compass docked within a vast organic chamber. The air was warm, fragrant with strange pollens, and hummed with a low, peaceful frequency. A delegation of hive beings awaited, led by the massive Knight, who now knelt as the daughters disembarked. Kaelin followed, feeling the eyes of 1,000 beings upon him. From a vast arched passageway, a new presence arrived. She was larger than the daughters, her horns a majestic, sweeping crown, her aura one of immense, weary power. The Queen. She was awake, and though she moved with strength, Kaelin could see a fragility in her eyes, a sense of incompleteness that vanished the moment her gaze fell upon her daughters. There was no dramatic reunion, no cries. The daughters approached and simply pressed their foreheads to hers. A visible wave of energy, of light and warmth, passed between them. The Queen's posture straightened, her eyes gaining a sharp, unified focus. The fracture was healed. She then turned her gaze to Kaelin. It was like being scanned by a gentle star. Human. Her voice was the source of the daughter's chime, but amplified to the power of a symphony. You have returned my soul to me. You have saved my children from a fate of desolation. You have, in your solitary act, preserved a civilization. Name your boon. Any treasure, any world, any knowledge we possess is yours. Kaelin stood before the alien monarch, a simple man in a simple gray shipsuit, amidst the grandeur of the hive. He shook his head. I need no treasure, your majesty. I saw a cage. I had the means to open it. That is all. The Queen studied him, her head tilting in a gesture he recognized from First Daughter. Then you are rarer than you know. But a debt must be acknowledged. If not material, then in spirit. You are forever a friend to the Crimson Hive. Where you walk, our regard walks with you. And should you ever need a shelter, you will have one here among us. He was offered a place to stay, to rest. He accepted for a few cycles. He walked the living corridors of the hive ship, guided often by one of the daughters. They showed him the memory chambers, the nurseries for young, the quiet places of song. He was an observer, a dismantler seeing a world without cages, where every being was a thread in a living tapestry. When he prepared to leave, the 3 daughters came to his ship. First Daughter spoke for them. You walk your solitary path, Kaelin. But know this, you are no longer alone. The song of our hive now has a harmony that echoes your name. Should your path ever grow dark, call. The swarm will answer. He nodded, a tightness in his throat that was unfamiliar. Thank you. Third Daughter approached last. She took his hand in hers. The warm pulse was stronger now, a tangible connection. You freed 3 aliens and found they were queens. Remember, Liberator, that you also found friends. The wandering compass departed the living ship, moving back into the open starfield. On his navigation console, a new star chart glowed, one provided by the hive, a map of safe pathways, friendly ports, and accord territories to avoid. He was not the same man who had boarded the Mercy's Promise. He had gone to dismantle a small cage and had instead helped mend a broken universe. He set a course for the next star, the next quiet need. Behind him, the hive swarm, now a peaceful escort, winked their lights at a final salute before vanishing into the nebula. The cage was gone. In its place, a bond stretched across the light years, silent, strong, and humming with the resonance of a shared freedom.